doing 3 racks and possibly some rib tips. Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and this was a bad deal. I guess depending on who you ask. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this decent sized video game haul that I was able to come across over this weekend, and I'm going to quickly show you everything that I got. Now, this stack of games that I have here roughly totals to around $280 for everything that I paid for all the games in this stack. And then I have another stack of games here that cost me roughly 45 bucks, actually 45 bucks exactly. So I'll go over the games in this stack, and then I'll talk about the games in this stack. So in the $45 stack, you have Godfather on the 360. I'm not even sure if this is the Don's edition. I don't even think this is the Don's edition. I think this is just the Godfather on the 360. Captain America, Super Soldier, and all of these are complete in box, by the way, with the manual and in pretty good condition. You have Batman Begins on the original Xbox, and then you have Iron Man. So that's the $45 stack there. And then in the $280 stack, you have Pokemon Red. And forgive me for the ashy hands. I've been barbecuing all day, which meant I've washed my hands about 50 times today. So it is what it is. But in this stack, you have Pokemon Red, a pretty decent copy of Pokemon Red too, if I might add. A lot of times the top is pretty like faded. This is not faded too bad. Pokemon Red, Mega Man Extreme, which is basically just the Game Boy version of Mega Man X, like literally. Different storyline though, different storyline. Then we have some PSP action. We have The Legend of Heroes on the PSP, decent RPG there. Untold Legends on the PSP. Pokemon Black version, complete in box with all of the inserts, everything that would come in like a CIB, sorry, in a new copy. Everything is here. Mega Man Star Force 3 Black Ace. Mega Man Star Force 2 Zerker and Ninja. And then Mega Man Star Force Pegasus, right? So, a couple more, sorry. Naruto Ninja Council 3 and Naruto Ninja Council 4. Now, for those of you who follow the channel, you probably remember seeing me pick these two up. But these also came in as well. And so I pretty much mentioned the other day that I was able to get my hands on these, and I was actually pretty stoked because June has been a pretty dry month for me, and I have not really been able to find a lot of things. But one of the comments that I got on this stack was that it was a so-so pickups, and that the commenter said that they hope that I got a good deal. And that got me thinking, like, as to what is considered a good deal in 2025. And is there a difference between a good deal for a reseller and a good deal for a collector? Does it matter, or do we all look at things the same? Now, I have a couple of feelings about this. Obviously, the cheaper you can get games for, the better, right? The lower amount that you have to spend, the better. As long as, it's ethical and, you're within reason, you're not robbing anybody, you're not lying to anybody, as long as you're not defrauding anybody. If everyone is fully aware of the value of the games, and people decide to sell you these games anyway, there's no harm, no foul. And if you're able to get deals at games at a discount, go for it, right? So that's always good. But I feel like there is a different threshold between collectors and resellers. Now, resellers, before I even get into that threshold, I'm just gonna say, like, right off the top, for this stack of games, I would say that I probably paid 50% or lower than what the market value is for this stack of games right here. I would probably say it's probably somewhere around 50%, maybe 65%, but somewhere between 50 and 60% of the value for the Xbox games. But for this stack right here, I would say we're probably in the neighborhood of around 50%, 45 to 50% of the value of these games, because just, like I said, I paid roughly around 280 for everything here. And, Mega Man Star Force 3, Black Ace, I believe this is like a $180 to $200 game. Pokemon Black is like another $100 to $120 game. So you're already in the neighborhood of $300 just between these two games. Pokemon Red is about a $50 game, so you're at $350. And then you have Mega Man Extreme, which is at least a $30 game. And then you still have the two Naruto games, which aren't wildly expensive. These are relatively inexpensive games. I would say these are somewhere between $10 and $15 a piece. But then you have the other two Mega Man Star Force games, which together probably total somewhere between 120 and 140. And then you have The Legend of Heroes and Untold Legend. So, like I said, maybe somewhere in the 50% range on this stack. And for some resellers, that might not be a good enough deal. But I know for like a lot of collectors, if you're a collector and you're able to get games at a 50% of what their market value is, you got a good deal. And I think the the idea and the perception of a good deal is really changing as time goes on. Resellers are having a hard time making margin in 2025. Resellers are having a hard time making margin selling on places like eBay and Mercari and stuff. So to me, the only resellers that are really in the game hardcore at this stage of the game are resellers who are leveraging Amazon. If you are not leveraging Amazon, you're pretty much working for free. You're selling games to make your money back. You're not really selling games to do anything significant. You're not making enough profit on your games to do anything major, right? You're not really able to flip your money. I'm seeing videos of resellers who buy and resell the same games, sometimes to the same people over and over again, because there's no one else to sell them to. And that's what you're seeing happening. Resellers are running out of people to sell to. They're even running out of business partners. They're running, like, some of the same store owners and people that they used to go to buy and trade games. Even they're not, the store owners aren't trying to play that game anymore. And so you've got these same games going around and around in the same circles, and it's really leading people nowhere. And I think it's because resellers are at a point now where they're not making margin. You're not able to make any money off the games that you buy because you have to pay the eBay tax, which is 20%, right? So let's say you bought a game that has a price charting value of $200, and even if you bought that game for, let's say, $150, and you're able to sell it for $200, you have to take away, at least $20 to $25 for fees. So you basically did a bunch of driving around, a bunch of haggling, a bunch of negotiating to make $25. I mean, that's like, I don't know, how much do people at Starbucks make? I don't know if they make $25, but you guys get the picture. Like, you're really working at this point for minimum wage almost, for like, you're working your tail off to make $40,000 a year, going to flea markets, getting up, driving, spending the gas, doing all this stuff. And I think real resellers aren't only factoring in like the selling fees. I'm hoping that at the very least they're factoring their time, how much time that, the time value that they're putting into the reselling thing, gas, wear and tear on their body, on their vehicle, on, there's just a lot that goes into it. And I just don't think the margins are there for resellers anymore. So I think for them, they need to get stuff at darn near, they need to be getting games at 30% of their value. For a reseller, that's a good deal. Like, if you could get a game at a 25% of its value, that's a good deal for you as a reseller, because now it's worth your while. But I think for collectors, it's completely different. If you are someone who's out there collecting in 2025, most collectors honestly are even comfortable with paying market price for certain games, especially if it's a game that they don't see every day. Like, if you walk into a store or you go into like a trade event and you see a copy of Pop Full Mail, someone who's in the market for a copy of Pop Full Mail will probably be willing to pay something close to the market value. They understand that Powerful Mail is a $400 to $500 game, and they're okay paying $400, $425, $450 if it's in good condition, because they understand it's really difficult to find a copy of Powerful Mail. And so I think that the vantage point is going to be different between collectors and resellers. And I think the margins that resellers need are going to get, like, the margins are getting tighter and tighter, which means they're gonna be looking to spend less and less for video games, and spending less for video games is going to get harder and harder, because more and more people know what they have. The good stuff at this point, a lot of the good stuff is in the hands of resellers and store owners. And I think there is a little bit of fatigue that's starting to happen with resellers buying and selling from each other over and over and over again, because there's no end user. The end user is gone. The end collector is gone. Nobody who's really collecting, like a hardcore collector, isn't in the market for Wii Sports Resort. They probably already have a copy, or they're probably just not interested. Like, collectors aren't out there like looking for like Super Mario Galaxy and like all of these games that were the bread and butter for a lot of resellers. And like I said, if you've got an Amazon account and it's positive and you're in good standing with Amazon and you're able to sell and make waves there, then those folks are good. But if you are not a part of that chosen few, it's going to get rough. And a good deal it's going to be harder and harder for those folks to find quote unquote good deals, because people aren't giving video games away. They're just not. And it really just depends. So to me, like I said, 50% of the market value for games that I really like and plan on adding into my collection are good to me. But what say you? Let me know down in the comments below where you stand. What to you is a good deal? Is there a specific percentage point regardless of the game, or does the game matter? Like, are you willing to pay full market price for an extremely rare game that you just never find? Or do you stick to your guns and say, I'm not paying more than 70% of the market value? I'm interested to know that. Let me know your comments down below. And then also, happy Father's Day to everyone. Hopefully you all enjoyed your Father's Day. Hopefully you all had, a good weekend. I actually wound up just chilling out, playing some Pokemon while I did some grilling. I was babysitting the grill pretty much all day. Tired, but it was well worth it to see my family enjoy some ribs and some potato salad and, the whole 9 yards. It was definitely a soul food Sunday. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the weekend, and I will catch you in the next one. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.